Testing. We'll see how this sounds on stream. I think that sounds good. Oh, now we're getting a bunch of echo, right? We should be getting the echo now. Yeah, I think we were. All right. All right. Let's be over here. Let's do a. Let's pull this up. Pull up that guy. Check my cellular device. All right. So, plan. Oh, wait 1 second. Let me go shill my stream, the only place I ever shill it. John's Discord. Whoa, gotta get the link to the stream first. I gotta. All right. I have officially shilled. What step dose? Should probably set this up if I'm gonna edit this into a YouTube video. That's what Ludwig does, and I am just copying him. So, what is gonna happen? Hold on, I gotta fix my hair. Looks ridiculous right now. Yeah, much better. All right, so the stream is simple. Listening to some chill hop beats. Maybe I'll turn it down a little bit. I don't know, maybe it's perfect. I think it was probably a little low now. All right, so the plan is simple. What's going to be happening is I'm going to be given a topic by my compadre, Pink, and then I'm going to spend some time learning about it on my own, and then I'm going to reconfer with him to see how well I've got it, and then he'll kind of fill in the gaps, and we'll kind of go from there. Turn on my gain a little bit, I think. It's going a little high. Probably too much. All right, so I think that's the plan. I think there's nothing else to preamble for the stream. I mean, what else do I need to set up? We're going to learn a bit. I think I'm in like, yeah, you'll see as we go. That's mostly it. So let me hit up the young Pink. Yo, I'll hit him with the yo. Assuming he isn't one of my 2 viewers. Probably is. Now that I have 2 viewers for anybody watching this in the future, I have 100 viewers. I have 1 million viewers, actually. I am ready to call if you are. He said yes. Well, I have to figure out what my Wait, actually, one second. Actually, sorry. I have to figure out what my mic situation is on Discord. Hold over here. All right, so it's gonna be going off for right now. Actually, we'll send them through the good old headphone. See, I can't hear when I call people on Discord anymore. Hello? Mr. Pink. Let me make sure that my audio is working. Can you? Well, I'll just check if I can hear you on stream. Say something. Say something. You might be quiet. I don't know. Big. I don't know. Are all my volumes low? Let's figure out my volume. Well, that should be fine. We'll turn this up a bit. All right. Wait, say something again. All right. Wait, say something again. All right. Wait, say something again. All right. No, I don't think you're going through stream. What did I do last time? I think I had this issue. I thought I fixed it. What did I do last time? I think I put. Oh, is it? Oh, I think
using OBS.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Oh, I think
Using OBS.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I probably have to add a scene. Yeah. Oh, something. I probably have to add a scene. Oh, something. Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah. Wait, that's what it is. Did it last week? Why did I do this? I'll just add a source. Okay. Add a source. Audio output capture. Add a source. Audio output capture. Add a source. Add a new source. I should stop capturing my stream. Okay. Add source device. Thanks, saves. Yeah, I know. It's because I'm setting it up. It's we're just sitting here on Discord. That's all there'll ever be. That's true. Use device. This should fix it. Let's see. That's how if I was too late. If I wasn't too lazy, I'd probably fix my audio so it wasn't coming through. Fuck. I'm missing my buttons. All right, say something now.
Hello, hello. Testing. Oh, I'm kind of loud. Holy shit. Hello, hello.
Oh, you were a little loud. That's my mind probably. Let's see.
I guess I can turn down my gain.
No, it's me. I got it. It wasn't that loud, Steves. Chill. Oh,
There we go. Let's see. How do I sound now? Sound kind of loud still. I'm gonna turn it down.
Yeah, well, I can get it. It's one slider for me. Don't fuck with it, because then we're fucking with it from two ends.
That's true, but my gain, I don't want to. I can still be quiet, but peak on my end.
Oh, right. All right, so
Should be good though.
Okay. So, I think it's all set up. What are we learning? What's the topic?
All right, so I was thinking about it. You know, there's a couple options here. For those of you who don't know, I'm a kind of a U.S. history buff.
Nerd,
so
other terms.
Listen. U.S. history is
Marabou.
short, but very interesting because we're the most powerful country in the history of the world. We're the richest country in the history of the world. Okay.
Back-to-back World War champions. Am I right?
Yeah, we're not going to mention the Vietnam War or the Korean War. It's fine. We don't need to mention that. Or the Iraq War or the Afghanistan War.
Look. For an American, anyway, you're really detracting.
Listen. So, let's bring it back. Okay, but a lot of people have been talking about the Second Amendment. We've been talking about the founding fathers. People love to talk about our founders. So let's go all the way back to the election of 1800.
Election of 1800.
To some, that might seem kind of boring. Why are we going back 200 and 300 something years? Okay, like why does that even matter? Okay, this is a very important election. It's very interesting. There's a lot of things that went on during this whole thing. A lot of things that might be memeable.
Oh, I like memes. I put an exclamation point after it, so it has to be interesting.
Yes.
Let me underline that a couple times. Okay. All right. So I don't know if I want you to give me much of a pre. I don't know how much pre-info. Maybe I'll take like a quick peek at it and then give me. Let me just election 1800. I didn't put of election of 1800. All right. So let's just get the quick rundown. The Federalist incumbent. Oh, so it's a John Adams type of meme. Ran against the rising republic. Oh, it's John Adams, TJ, the good old dudes. Was this in I've seen the John Adams TV show a while ago, so
The HBO one from 15 years ago.
yeah, so that's probably
Yeah, I've
what's in
watched
that.
parts of that.
I'm probably already pretty well informed on it, to be honest, because I kind of remember that show perfectly, and I'm probably sure, yeah, I'm sure I paid attention to all of this. Wait, Aaron Burr. So Jefferson is vice president mate. Presidential running mate Aaron Burr both received the identical number of electoral votes, and the House of Representatives voted to break the tie. So that's where we're at right now. That's what we're gonna go with going in. Is there anything else you would like to foreshadow, like set up?
I would say that if you have seen, or actually you probably haven't, have you seen the play Hamilton?
Nope, not a
Okay,
nerd.
there is a song. There is a song in there called "The Election of 1800,"
Oh,
and if you
okay.
come across it, I would not listen to it because it's not right. What
Oh,
happens in the play is not actually what happens.
oh,
So
okay. So the play.
that's it.
So if I was gonna go listen to that song for a Stark reference, that would be bad.
No, it's actually not true. It gets it kind of right, but also just completely wrong at the same
Also
time.
probably
So
copyrighted, so probably not gonna do that.
that's true. That's true.
All right, Pink. I appreciate it.
All right, have
We'll
fun.
see what I can learn, and then we'll discuss it when I come back when I'm done learning everything.
All right.
It should only take.
I'll be sitting here getting salty playing a Falco that lasers me to death from the other
That
side.
does sound like you, so I believe you.
All right.
All right,
Okay,
thanks.
I'm leaving.
See ya. Fucking nerd. All right, let's just find a quick YouTube video and bang her out. It should only take a second to become election of 1800. YouTube already knows what I'm looking up because it's creepy. All right, there's the song. We don't want this. What do we tell YouTube? We tell it. Well, let's just listen to a quick second ago. What kind of beats it has got?
Don't let them know what I learned that from you.
Yeah, just classic Hamilton cringe. Okay. So, can I tell YouTube not interested? Keep this shit away. How do I do that? There's a way to do that. No. Whatever. I can't tell it to keep this shit away from me. What else? All right. So, which of these videos are we gonna dive into? It's got a lot of videos. Yo, Mr. Beast video. All right. This video is 3 minutes. This video is 10 minutes. Hamilton animatic. I don't want Hamilton animatic. Oh, let me adjust my volumes. Sorry, Chill Hop. It's history time.
Presidential elections in American history.
Oh, I know about that. I'll take notes.
The fourth presidential election in American history was held from Friday, October 31st to Wednesday, December 3rd, 1800. It was a significant
Whoa, we already
election.
missed a
In
date.
fact,
Hold on. Friday, October 31st. All right, so Friday, so we're starting off October 31st, so it's a little spooky. Wait, so it says it's going to these dates? Wait, I missed the very basic.
The fourth presidential election in American history was held from Friday, October 31st.
It was held over this whole period. Okay, so memes, keep that in mind. Memes are going to occur because this election took place over a month. So, what do I need to write down? Hold on, I have too much stuff going on up here. I need to move a lot of this shit. I don't really need to change pens a bunch, so. What are we going to write with? We're going to write with a blue pen. All right, so, fourth election. Okay. Fourth election. Play.
31st to Wednesday, December 3rd.
About a month. long. This could be important.
1800. It was a significant election. In fact, some call
Significant, even. Significant. I'm a great note taker, as you can tell. Didn't play.
it the, quote, revolution of 1800 due to the political realignment it created. It was essentially a rematch between incumbent President John Adams and his off and on friend
Classic bout between Johnny A, and T J. They have so many classic
enemy
bouts.
Vice President Thomas Jefferson. In 1800, Adams and Jefferson were far from friends. The two had spent the previous 4 years awkwardly working side by side as president and vice president, but now they seemed to hate each other. Their campaigns were just plain nasty.
Let's get a look at this. Let's get a close-up. All right. He in a trice struck yon thrice upon his head, enraged. Okay. Who seized the tongs to ease his wrongs, and Grilfwold thus engaged. That sounded cool. I didn't really get what it was saying. He said hit him 3 times. That was the other one. He seized the tongs to ease his wrongs. So what's that trying to say? Saying he... Oh, the tongs. What even is that for? It looks like a fucking fireplace implement. He seized it to ease his wrongs. Oh, so he was wrong. So it's saying cheekily that he hit him to feel better for being wrong because he's like in denial. Man, these guys are so witty, dude. These guys are so witty and cool and smart. So in a trice struck yawn thrice. Is that saying T-yawn or yawn? I don't know what's going on there. Upon his head enraged. Okay. What else?
Jefferson supporters said President Adams
Wait, what
had
was that point of
their
that?
campaigns
Who was
as
hitting each other?
president and
Did he
vice
say?
president, but now they seem to hate each other. Their campaigns were just plain nasty. Jefferson supporters said President
Was someone claiming that
hate
they hit
each
the other
other.
one?
Their
Is that what's going
campaigns were-
on? Congressional pugilists. I know what that means. Congressional pugilists. Oh, so that's the name of the cartoon. Oh shit, we can look up the meaning of it. Let's go. Cartoon research. Cartoon analysis. Congressional pugilists. 1798. Oh, so this is when this was still pre-election though. Still a bit pre-election. On March 2nd, 1797, I can read. Angered over the J. What? What? The treaty between the United States. The treaty? But that's not what I thought it was about. He in a trice struck thrice, or struck Leon thrice upon his head, enraged. Sees the tongue, sees his wrongs, and Griswold thus engaged there. Well, what are the answers to these questions? I don't understand. If this was in 1797, why was it in this video? Anonymous cartoon. Dude, this was drawn by the hacker, by that hacker dude I've heard so much about. Anonymous drew this? In a democracy, disagreement doesn't mean disloyalty. Show more. A representative, Matthew Leon of Vermont, a Jefferson Republican, responded to taunts about his military record by spitting tobacco juice in the face of Roger Griswold, a Connecticut Federalist. Outraged that the House didn't punish the spitting Leon, Griswold took matters into his own hand. Oh, to right his wrong. He seized the tongs. Leon and grabbed a pair of fire tongs. Oh, they were a fireplace implement. The two ended up wrestling on the floor of the house. You know, boys are just gonna be boys, you know? They're just gonna go at it. They're just gonna spit tobacco at each other. That's actually so gross. You just spit tobacco on them. Yeah, not really bueno, MO. So this is like a Jefferson Republican, and then he was hitting a Connecticut Federalist. So I assume John Adams was a Federalist. If I knew enough, I'd be able to very immediately know that. Oh, I gotta sneeze. It's been coming up for a minute. Yeah, I sneezed off camera because that's polite. So John Adams, why don't you just look up John Adams? John Adams political party. Because I know they probably moved around. Yeah, I knew something like this. I knew it wouldn't just say one. I can look up was John Adams a Federalist. That'd probably be better. Was John Adams. Oh, there it is. Google knows what I'm going to Google. John Adams, Washington, succeeding the first president as an avowed Federalist. So he was. So this guy. So the guy who was spitting. Who was the guy that was spitting? Federalists. Rambunctious Jefferson Republicans. Who during. Oh, so the Jefferson guy spit. Okay. Oh, because they're the rambunctious ones. They're seen as rambunctious. The Republicans. So. All right. We can keep going. Go over here. Already out of space. Did not think this through. I'm sure it's fine. Just get rid of you. You.
They're just plain nasty. Jefferson supporters said President Adams had a, quote, hideous hermaphroditical character which has neither the force and firmness of a man
Holy
nor
fuck.
the gentleness and
Holy
sensibility of a
fuck.
woman. Adams supporters responded by calling Vice
That's brutal. They said he's the worst of both worlds. They said I don't care which one he is, but he's just got the worst attributes of either. I'll tell you what. That's fucked up. Damn.
gentleness and sensibility of
These
a
gentlemen
woman.
are brutal.
Adams supporters responded by calling Vice President Jefferson, quote, a mean-spirited son of a half-breed Indian squaw sired by a Virginia mulatto father.
Oh fuck. That's so fucked up. Well, okay, because it kind of feels like the attack on Jefferson or on John Adams was more like. Wait, so who's the attack on who? I might be mixed up.
Adams supporters responded by nor the gentleness
Yeah, so
and
John Adams was
sensibility
called
of a
this, and then-
woman. Adams supporters responded by calling
Adams
Vice
supporters called-
President Jefferson, quote,
You can tell that this one's the response one because it's much less put together. It's much more like, okay, he's an asshole. Because like their initial, like they got hit with like a really like eloquent, like rude, like mean thing. It's like, oh, that's mean. Then their response is like, yeah, he's got stupid parents and he's stupid. So they, you can kind of tell who hit first.
a
And who hit in
mean-spirited
response.
son of a half-breed Indian squaw sired by a Virginia
I mean, it's still like,
mulatto father. Federalists called Jefferson a bad Christian who had too much sympathy for the French Revolution, while Democratic Republicans said that
What's going on at the top? Is that painted? Did they do that? Did they just paint the top of their heads? Obviously, I knew they did powdered wig memes and whatnot, but I know that they would literally just paint their heads. That's some shit, dude.
Adams was giving too much power to the federal government, talking trash about his signing of the Alien and Sedition Acts and his expansion of the military.
Wait, so what were they mad about?
Revolution, while Democratic Republicans said that Adams was giving too much power to the federal government, talking trash about his signing of the Alien and Sedition.
Oh, so it's an Alien Sedition Act meme. I know that's a whole rabbit hole too. We can look into it a bit. Alien and Sedition Acts. We're gonna get a little taste of it. Were a series of 4 laws passed by the U.S. Congress in 1798 amid widespread fear that war with France was imminent. The 4 laws, which remain controversial to this day. Where were we? Yeah, you fuck Gavin. You have to walk around in tier 2. Can't get away with saying scissor in this chat. All right. So, my hair looks weird with the filter. Oh, weird. It's kind of distracting. All right. Fears of an imminent French invasion that the Adams administration to begin war. I don't want to read the whole thing. I just wanted a summary. I'm just looking for a summary of this. Let's go to the Wikipedia page. Where 4 laws passed by the Federalist-dominated 5th United States Congress and signed a law by President John Adams. So he did this when he was president. They made it harder for an immigrant to become a citizen and allowed the president to imprison and deport non-citizens who were deemed dangerous. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is topical today. What the fuck? So they didn't like it because they gave the government. So the the hold on, let me make a sure election. Okay. So we'll draw TJ Henry Yoshi over here. I don't know how to draw him. I don't know what my plan is to draw a face. That seems hard. Where's my erasing implements? Oh, I deleted those. File. Where do I get my tools? Brush. Nope, that's the puck. I need brush palette. Oh, it's over here. I don't know. I gotta get it from my other screen. All right. So, erase this. So first we're going to start off with someone that's easier to draw because I'm looking at him. Good old John Adams, round face McGee. Versus more of a square face kind of guy. He's got hair up top by IRC. All right. Johnny A. TJ. Okay. So, Johnny A. Calls. Oh, no. Johnny A. So, first off, Johnny A gets spit on. Well, that's not that important. Johnny A gets. No, I know. I should do it the other way. Calls him worst of both worlds. We all get what that's referencing. I don't need to go into it. Seems like a tricky topic. Calls him worst of both worlds. Calls him dumb. Okay. Then they didn't like. What didn't they like?
Acts, having too much sympathy for the French Revolution, was called Indian squaw, sired by a Virginia mulatto father. Federalists called Jefferson a bad Christian who had too much sympathy for the
Claims Jefferson has too much French sympathy. Whoops.
the French Revolution, while Democratic Republicans said that Adams was giving too much power to the federal government, talking trash about his signing of the Alien and Sedition Acts and his expansion of the military.
Okay. Claims Adams, a government boot licking SOB and Alien and Sedition Act was cringe. Think I'm following?
With this election, political parties officially chose running mates for Adams and Jefferson, hoping they each would be elected the vice president, therefore avoiding another embarrassing result like the one after the election. With this election, political parties officially chose running mates for Adams and Jefferson, hoping they each would be elected the vice president, therefore avoiding another embarrassing result like the one after the election of 1796, where two dudes with opposite views were in the executive branch together. The Federalists chose Charles Cotesworth Pinckney as Adams' running mate, and the Democratic Republicans chose Aaron Burr. Remember, under the original Electoral College, each elector could vote for two people for president. The top two candidates would be president and vice president. And here are the results. First of all, it's important to note that the results were heavily disputed. However, Thomas Jefferson and Aaron Burr both received 73 electoral votes, ensuring the Democratic-Republican victory. One of the Democratic-Republican electors was supposed to not vote for Burr, but he did anyway. So with Jefferson and Burr tied, the House of Representatives had to choose one of them to become president.
Oh, straight up Jefferson and Burr tied. Whoa. Why do people like Burr so much?
And here
What
are the
fuck?
results. First of
Let's
all,
run
it's
this back.
important to note that the results were heavily disputed. However, Thomas Jefferson and Aaron Burr both received 73
They just tied.
electoral
Who the
votes,
fuck you,
ensuring
Burr,
the
you
Democratic-Republican
You
victory.
ain't shit compared to
One of the
TJ.
Democratic-Republican electors was supposed to not vote for Burr, but he did anyway.
Oh,
so
fuck
with
that guy.
Jefferson and Burr tied, the House of Representatives had to choose one of them to become president. Partially due to the always influential Alexander Hamilton, the still mostly
Yeah, that's a reference. When they said Alexander Hamilton, he's actually referencing the play you guys probably haven't heard of. So maybe you should look it up. It's called Hamilton. It's pretty pog.
Federalist House went with Jefferson. Jefferson became the third president, and Aaron Burr became the third vice president in American history. John Adams became the first one-term president when he received 65 electoral votes. The Federalists planned a bit better by giving 64 electoral votes to Charles Cotesworth Pinckney and 1 electoral vote to John Jay. This election was significant because it
Oh, so that's it. We're good. We're good. He just lost.
Adams became the first one-term president when he received 65 electoral votes.
Wait, so
Hamilton
65 to
chose it anyway. One of the
73.
Democratic
Or no,
partially due
those weren't their.
to the
Those were the votes within their
First of
party,
all,
not
it's
like the
important to
votes
note that
overall.
the results were heavily
IRC.
disputed. However, Tom President, the top two candidates were the original Adams running mate, and the Democratic Republicans chose Aaron Burr. Remember, under the original Electoral College, each elector could vote for 2 people for president. The top 2 candidates
everybody
would be
gets to vote
president
twice.
and vice
Okay.
president.
Oh,
And
so that's how
here
they
are the
tied.
results.
That makes
First
sense.
of
that
all,
makes
it's
sense.
important to note that the results were heavily disputed. However, Thomas Jefferson and Republican
Wait, if everybody gets to vote twice, that's kind of cringe, right? I feel like you're gonna get near ties all the time. Oh, but you don't have to vote twice. So they just say, Steve, you don't vote. Don't
the
vote.
still mostly
Burr.
federal
And then Steve says, I'm
Jefferson
gonna
and
vote for Burr.
Republican
He says, I'm gonna do it. I wanna vote for both. And they're like, no.
electors
If you
was
vote for
supposed to
both,
not
then they're
vote
gonna
for
tie.
Burr, but he did anyway. So with Jefferson and Burr,
But they
partially
didn't
due to
care.
Jefferson became the third.
But the
Adams list planned a bit
Federalists-
better by giving 65
But the
electoral
Federalists
votes.
planned correctly.
The Federalists planned a bit better by giving 64 electoral votes to Charles Cotesworth Pinckney
But they just
and
didn't have
1
the-
electoral vote to John Jay.
Oh, poor guy. Oh, so they can't just not vote. They just gave it to John Jay to like get rid of it.
This election
John
was
Jay.
significant because it was the first peaceful
Wait, Rupert's Land, United Kingdom. I didn't know. Wait, maybe I did know about that. Whack. That's where mine. I think Grant. That might even include Fargo.
transition of political power between opposing parties in American history. It was also a turning point. It marked the beginning of a generation of Democratic-Republican Party rule and the decline of the Federalist Party, who would never again have a president in office. The result of this election was affected by the Three-Fifths Compromise. Had slaves not been counted for purposes of congressional apportionment, Adams would have beat Jefferson. However, Jefferson still would have won the popular vote.
Wait.
Congressional
Second.
apportionment at Three-Fifths Compromise. Had slaves not been counted for purposes of congressional apportionment, Adams
Had slaves not been counted. Said since they were.
would have beat Jefferson. However, Jefferson
Oh, for congressional appointment. Oh, I see. So the people that represented the slaves based off the Three-Fifths Compromise voted for Jefferson.
still would have won the popular vote.
Wow, guys, get out to vote. Come on. Just do it. Get out. Vote or die. Vote or die. Come on.
I'll see you for the next election, but
All right, we can watch this big boy. I think we're ready. See what this guy has to say about him. Okay, he's got music. He's got beats.
Ding dong, learning's back.
Not
Hey guys, welcome to
in
Confused
focus,
History.
though.
In the next few minutes, we're going to
He
take a look.
is out of focus for this. Do I just have low? Yeah, you are out of focus for your 100,000 view video. You could redo this take. You could like do a take where you're in focus the whole. It's fine. I'm just saying you could be in focus here. There's no reason you have to be out of focus. Like you could do a new take. It's fine.
Look at one of the most exciting and contested elections.
Like it's just so distracting that you're not in focus. Like maybe this is just your
in
camera.
American history, the election
I
of
assume it's not gonna make this whole
1800.
thing.
So let's take a look at the candidates. Let's take a look at the issues, the winner, and some of the big ideas that transcend that election and really affect American history throughout its course. So giddy up, let's go. Let the learning begin.
Is he gonna get in focus later on?
Let the fighting
Is that just
begin.
maybe it's just his
The election of
camera. Hold
1800,
on.
sometimes referred to.
What if I go here?
Maybe it's a personal
it's just-
thing. I think that, you know,
Is he just
history, we
out
have
of
a
focus and
peace-
he has to lower his camera?
Let
I don't
the
know what's
fighting
going on. It's
begin.
kind of
The
distracting.
election of 1800, sometimes referred to as the Revolution of 1800.
Let's watch this guy. See, he looks more excited about it, and his video is titled "The Revolution of 1800." So, and like this, we get a bit more with like
Hi
the
everyone,
Louisiana
and welcome back
Purchase.
to Heimler's History. In this lecture, we get to the third presidency of the United States, that of Thomas Jefferson. Wait a minute, what about this
TJ?
other president, John Adams? He's my favorite president of all, said no one ever. Now, I
Wow.
happen to love
Wow.
John Adams, even though he was pretty universally poo-pooed by those who lived during his time and for the historians who reflected on his presidency afterwards. And I admit that Adams made some pretty bad decisions, like the Alien and Sedition Acts. The first of which, the Alien Acts, made it very hard for immigrants to become U.S. citizens, and the second of which, the Sedition Acts, made it illegal to insult the president in print. And this just goes to show the bitter partisan debates that were occurring during the first few years of our nation. Now, whoever followed George Washington as president was going to have a difficult time, but John Adams won, and he had a rough presidency, and he served one term. But then, in the election of 1800, Thomas Jefferson won. So let's do it.
It's time to kick it old school.
Thank you for making studying funny, fucking nerd. Imagine studying for fun, bitch.
So Adams and Jefferson ran a bitter campaign against each other in 1800.
That's a Hamilton book in the background. This guy's cringe.
And here's where it gets saucy. In the Constitution, it says that whoever gets the most electoral votes is the president. Whoever gets the
When did that
second
stop?
most
When did they
electoral
stop
votes
doing
is
that
the
meme?
vice president. Now, an ambitious turd by the name of Aaron Burr decided that he would
called
run
him-
for president. In
He
addition
just
to
called him an ambitious turd. Wait.
by the name of second most electoral votes is
You
the
can't
vice
do
president.
that.
Now, an ambitious turd by the
He really hits turd there. Wait.
gets the second
He just
most
goes, "Ambitious
electoral votes is
turd."
the vice president. Now, an ambitious turd by the name of Aaron Burr decided
He's got a lot of animosity for
he
Aaron
would
Burr.
run for president in addition to Jefferson and Adams. And as it turns out, Burr won 73 electoral votes and Jefferson won 73 electoral votes, a tie. And in the case of a tie, the election is thrown to the House of Representatives and they decide who will be the next president by vote. But even the House vote tied over and over again until finally a few Federalists decided that they did not want a turd for president, and so they shifted a few of their votes to Jefferson, and Jefferson won the presidency. And this election is significant.
I feel like it's rude to call this man a turd when he kept tying Jefferson. Like, why would he tie Jefferson? Oh, maybe they just were doing it because they didn't want any of them to win. I don't know. Kind of sucks. Feels like they could be talking about it, but no, they're not. They're kind of skimming that bit. They're just like, yeah, they just kept tying.
Significant because it's the first time in history that a peaceful transfer of power has occurred between two opposing parties. Prior to this, if one party
I'm sure that would never get complicated by anything. I'm sure that would never. Nothing.
wanted to
I've got nothing
depose
to say.
another party, they just killed that guy and all of his kids so that the kids didn't later grow up.
What? Oh,
They
he's just
killed
talking about like
opposing
kings and shit.
parties. Prior to this, if one party wanted to depose another party, they just killed that guy and all of his kids so that the kids didn't later grow up, hunt him down, and say,
You killed my father. Prepare to die.
so monumental was this
Okay, he says that as a joke, but he should. I mean, obviously, he's not talking about American politics, but you know, he's not wrong. So I guess that's true though, because like it's the first democracy, so that also kind of just means that it literally is. That is weird to think about. It's the first time people just like that were completely in opposition of each other, like willfully turned over power. That's actually weird. I didn't. That's kind of a weird thing to think about. Like before that, people died. People would die to swap over if you didn't like them. Huh. I mean, it's probably happened before. I would assume it happened at some point. Like, I mean, why would it though? That's weird.
Peaceful transfer of power that Jefferson called it the Revolution of 1800. Now, on his
Well, the other video, I don't think they said it was called the Revolution for that reason.
transfer of power.
Prepare to die.
So monumental was this peaceful transfer of power that Jefferson called it the Revolution of 1800. Now, on his
like a
inauguration
little
day,
snarky
Jefferson
name.
86'd all the pomp and circumstance that attended Washington's inauguration and Adams's inauguration, and he walked on his own 2 feet from the Capitol to the boarding house. And this little walk, along with his plain clothes and his rejection of court etiquette, was really a symbol of what Jefferson thought the presidency should be. He thought that the lifeblood of America lay in its farmers over against the manufacturing elite in the Northeast.
Hold on. We put this here. Based. Continue.
Now remember, as a Democratic Republican, Jefferson thought that the powerful central government that was set up in the previous 2 administrations by Federalists was a big hairy wart on the American bumpus. And so he determined that under his administration, many of those odious customs would be overturned. Now, as it turns out, criticizing the presidency and actually being the president are 2 different things, a truth that Jefferson learned very quickly. He was successful at overturning a few of the Federalist programs, but in other ways, he acted exactly like a Federalist himself. So, let's look at these 2 ways. How did Jefferson act like a Democratic Republican, and how did Jefferson act like a Federalist? First,
How did he act like a Democratic Republican? Oh, because he's saying.
how did
okay, I
Jefferson
see.
act like a Democratic Republican, right in line with his ideals? Well, Jefferson hated the public debt that was established by Hamilton during Washington's presidency, and
Ooh, what's this? What's this? Hamilton's cringe? Get fucked, nerd.
he worked hard to
Hamilton
reduce that debt
sucks.
and balance the federal budget. Also significant is that he reduced the size of the military establishment down to basically like a glorified police force. Okay, well done, Thomas Jefferson. All your Democratic Republican
I'm sure we would never expand it.
friends raise
Never happened.
a glass to you. Secondly, how did Thomas Jefferson act less like a Democratic Republican and more like a Federalist? Now, there's actually a lot of ways, but the most significant of these ways is the Louisiana Purchase. Now, France owned all this land west of the Mississippi, including that vital trade port of New Orleans. And as much as Jefferson loved France, he understood that with Napoleon in power, a French presence on the American continent was a threat. Not to mention, the Americans made heavy use of the Mississippi River for trade, and the fact that it was owned by the French made such trade difficult and costly.
No, I'm just so Fargo would probably be about NDSU. Fargo. Where's my friggin' mouse? Oh, I know what the issue is. Okay. Well, it'd probably be around here, right? Maybe here more? Yeah, so it's probably the other one.
So early in 1803,
I could Google it,
Jefferson
but
sent
that's
James
a lot of work.
Monroe to France with $10 million to buy New Orleans and a little bit of additional land. So Daddy Jefferson gave Monroe the $10 million and said, "Now Jimmy, here's $10 million. Don't spend it all and bring Daddy back the change." But a fortuitous event occurred while Monroe was on the way to France and while he was in negotiations. The French colony in the Caribbean, Haiti, was in the middle of a war for their own independence, and as it turns out, they won. And Napoleon, with giant bills racked up by his European conquest, quickly understood that the Louisiana Territory was basically no good to him without Haiti. So he shocked Monroe when he offered the whole of the Louisiana Territory to Monroe for $15 million. To which Monroe responded, I'm gonna change my drawers and I'll be right back. This was the deal.
Ha ha ha! Fuck off. You already talked about the thing I wanted to hear you talk about. I need your jokes. I want someone to talk about like the good stuff. I feel like they're skimming. I feel like they're skimming. I might have to we'll see where this video goes. This should be the final one though.
I'm Mr. Drosty, and today we're going to talk about the 1800 election, a true turning point election in American history that influence every presidential election to come after it. This is, of course, when Thomas Jefferson becomes the third president of the United States, the first Democratic Republican to become president. It's the first
You
time
need
in
to speed
American
up.
history where you have one party, the Federalists, led by President John Adams at that time, giving up power to the opposite political party and having a peaceful transition of power. This election also involved mudslinging, active campaigning for president, and a flaw in the way that we chose the president that was revealed, a constitutional flaw which would cause us to have to amend the Constitution before the 1804 election.
Oh, it
So let's
happened
get
after
to it.
this one.
So
That
the
makes
first thing to
sense.
talk about here is the political parties heading into the 1800 election. I just mentioned them, the Federalists and the Democratic Republicans. So the Federalists, as you can see from this electoral map, which shows the initial outcome of the 1800 election, shows you that the Federalist Party was very powerful up in the northeastern part of the United States. John Adams was from Massachusetts. The Federalists supported business. They were kind of the elites, the well-connected in American society. And they also favored a more powerful federal government, hence the Federalist Party. The Democratic Republican Party, led by Thomas Jefferson, as you can see from the map, were very powerful in the southern part of the United States, the western part of the United States. They were seen as the party of the common man. The Democratic Republicans favored a strong state government. So, as I said, this is the first transfer of power from one party to another at the presidential level in American history, and it involves Adams and Jefferson. Although those two also had running mates heading into 1800, which made this election different than any presidential election in history prior to that point in time. So the way that the US Constitution was set up was that whoever received the most electoral votes would, of course, become president, and then whoever received the second most electoral votes would become vice president. That system did not foresee a situation where you would have political parties with one candidate running for president and one candidate running for vice president. At the time, in the Electoral College, every elector, the people voting for president, had 2 votes. So essentially, they could cast
Keep in mind, my video's on 1.25 times speed right now, and this guy still feels like he's talking a bit slow. I'm just saying.
their vote for their top two most favored candidates. Well, in 1800, you had Thomas Jefferson running alongside Aaron Burr. Burr was to be the vice presidential candidate. And on
Fucking
the other
turd.
side, you had John
All right,
Adams running
guys? That guy's a
alongside a man
turd.
named Charles Pinckney,
That's what the other
Pinckney
guy
being the
said.
vice presidential candidate. Well, if you're a elector in the Electoral College and say you're a Democratic Republican and you got 2 votes, of course you're going to cast both of your votes for Thomas Jefferson and Aaron Burr. And if you do that, those two are going to tie. If every elector that's a Democratic Republican does that, they're going to tie every single time, right? And you're not going to have anyone emerge president. So what had to happen behind the scenes is the parties had to organize and work a system where the presidential candidate would get a single vote more than the person that the party wanted to be the vice president. So on the Federalist side, you actually had a plan for John Adams to receive the first ballot votes, Pinckney to receive the second ballot votes, except for one elector would cast his vote for John Jay. This would leave Pinckney finishing in second place. On the other side, on the Democratic Republican side, they had a similar system where everyone on the first vote would vote for Thomas Jefferson in the Electoral College, and on their second vote, one elector would leave their ballot blank so that Aaron Burr would come in second place. But that's not what happened. And we'll get to that here in just a second. But before we do, let's talk about the Electoral College. You know, in today's presidential elections, the way it works is there's popular votes within the state that determine how the state's electoral votes go to the presidential candidates running. Back then, it kind of varied state to state. In some states, there was a popular vote divided by district, and whichever elector, Federalist or Democratic Republican, won the most votes would become the elector from that district and then cast their electoral ballots towards their party of choice. In some states, it was a winner-take-all system, and in other states, the state legislators were choosing who would be the electors from their state. One thing that John Adams didn't know, or he would find out, but he didn't know initially, it was that another prominent Federalist by the name of Alexander Hamilton, who didn't get along with Adams and vice versa,
Alexander
was
Hamilton,
actively
right,
campaigning
guys?
behind the
This is
scenes
a
against
song.
Adams, trying to get Charles Pinckney to be the choice for the Federalist Party and to make Adams the vice president. In fact, there was a very embarrassing situation that happened during the 1800 campaign where Alexander Hamilton wrote a 54-page pamphlet attacking John Adams. And that pamphlet went out
Rude.
to prominent Federalists, trying to get them to urge the electors to change their votes. But it also went into the hands of the Democratic Republicans, who subsequently published this pamphlet publicly, embarrassing the Federalists and definitely hurting John Adams' chances of getting reelected
That's
president.
rude. What
So
the
you look at this
fuck?
electoral map, and it shows you the initial tallies when all of the votes were counted for president. And what we had was Aaron
Alexander
Burr and
Hamilton
Thomas
kind of.
Jefferson tying.
If I had an Alexander Hamilton column, I would write not based question mark under it because I am questioning how based he is.
73 votes apiece in the Electoral College. You had John Adams receiving 65 electoral votes. His running mate, as the plan was, Charles Pinckney, had 64 Electoral College votes. And then John Jay received 1 Electoral College vote because of the plan to make Charles Pinckney vice president. Because Aaron Burr and Thomas Jefferson tied, this election would be thrown to the House of Representatives, controlled by the Federalist Party at the time. And the House of Representatives would choose the new president of the United States. Of course, we're talking about 2 Democratic Republicans now who they can choose from.
Wait, so since they tied, I gotta go back. I kind of zoned out. This shit's boring.
House of Representatives, controlled by the Federalist. Aaron Burr vote because of the plan to make Charles Pinckney vice president. Because Aaron Burr and Thomas Jefferson tied, this election would be thrown to the House of Representatives, controlled
that
by
goes
the
to the
Federalist Party
House.
at the time. And the House of Representatives would choose the new president of the United States. Of course, we're talking about 2 Democratic Republicans now who they can choose from, Jefferson and Aaron Burr, who tied, and that adds an interesting dynamic to this with the Federalist Party controlling the House of Representatives. The way the vote went down in the House of Representatives was within each state. Like, for example, all of the Virginia delegates to the House of Representatives would get together, and they would have a vote, and whoever carried the vote, 1 vote from their state would go towards who they want to be president. So there were 16 states at the time. Each state would cast 1 ballot to break the tie, but that 1 ballot was determined by all of the state's delegates holding a vote. And what constantly happened was that Thomas Jefferson was winning 8 states, Aaron Burr was winning 6 states, and 2 states were divided. So again, there were 16 states at the time. You needed 9 states to vote for you to become president. And this went on and on and on. 35 votes in the House of Representatives. And every single time it went 8 for Jefferson, 6 for Burr, 2 divided. You see, the Federalist Party members at the time in the House of Representatives, most of them were actually voting for Aaron Burr. To Federalists, Thomas Jefferson was the ultimate enemy. And although Federalists didn't like either of them, they didn't want Jefferson to become president. So most of them were throwing their support to Aaron Burr. There was another interesting dynamic going on behind the scenes. There was rumors that Burr, who was supposed to be vice president, was kind of actively campaigning behind the scenes to get House of Representative members to change their ballots and to actually vote for him ahead of Thomas Jefferson on the Democratic Republican side. There was a federal representative named James Bayard, who was supposedly making overtures to members of the House of Representatives, urging them to vote for Burr, and if they did, Burr would appoint them to the new presidential administration. But this was kind of hearsay at the time. It was rumors, but it certainly affected the relationship that Jefferson and Burr would have moving forward. In the end,
he absolutely did that. Why wouldn't you?
Election decided was that Alexander Hamilton stepped in to advise the Federalist Party. Hamilton, one of the most influential Federalists of that era, he wrote letters, constant letters, to the Federalists, urging them to vote in Thomas Jefferson. Hamilton did not like either of these guys, but he really distrusted Aaron Burr. He told his fellow Federalists, you can't make Aaron Burr president, vote for Thomas Jefferson. And what happened was it did sway the election, and in the end, on the 36th vote,
I guess he's not entirely
on February
unbased.
17th, 1801, Thomas Jefferson became the new president. He won 10 states to Aaron Burr's 4 on the 36th ballot. 2 states submitted blank ballots, and Thomas Jefferson became the 3rd president of the United States. Aaron Burr, now his vice president, fractured relationship, didn't get along very well, and Aaron Burr was not given much of a voice in the new Thomas Jefferson administration. John Adams did not attend the presidential inauguration. He was kind of a sore loser, but he did peacefully pass power from the Federalist Party to the Democratic Republican Party and new President Jefferson. And this was one of the last hurrahs of the Federalist Party. In fact, within 20 years, the Federalist Party would pretty much cease to exist on a national level. There would never be another Federalist president ever again. And Thomas Jefferson ushers in this new era of every single president being a Democratic Republican for the next 20 plus years. After the election, we passed the 12th Amendment to prevent a situation like this, the tie situation, from ever happening again. So in time for the 1804 election, they changed the Constitution so that now the...
All right, now we're going to go over it again. We'll save it. I'll save it as DJ versus... What did I name him? Johnny A. All right, now we're going to make a new one. This is going to be our final one. This is going to be our review board. This is going to encompass it all. This is going to be our big picture. where we hit everything. Why is this such a weird aspect? I wish I understood this app I'm using. Look normal. Hold on. Window, image size, canvas size, that's what I'm looking for. Image, canvas size. How big can I make it? Oh. Width, you can be like 15. Maybe longer than that. Window, I just want it to be big. I want a big boy. Canvas size. 3,000. Bigger. Oh wait, why don't I do my resolution? What's my resolution? 24. It's 24. What's 1440 by what? 1440. 24. Give me the other one. What's the other one? It's 1440 by 2560. No, that's close. 2560. Just want this to fit. 1440. All right. So let me get it in here. I say all right so all the time. It's what I do to trick myself and then getting productive. All right. So fuck. I just say it. Whatever. We're in it. Okay. First off, all right, we need to make a map. No, we need to make a timeline. Huh. How should we do this? Maybe we'll center it. No, I don't have the dates. I didn't write down the dates. No one told me to write down the dates. We're not doing a timeline. I don't have enough info. We'll just write down the basics. So, Adams was president. Adams was pres. He was not beloved. Oh, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. Spice it up. Spice it up. So he was pres. Draw a little picture. It's a nice little round face. It's nice curly hair. People. Parentheses. Democratic Republicans? Is that what they're called? Democratic Repubs disliked certain things. He did. Draw a thumbs down. How do you draw thumbs down? All right, stay there. Perfect. Little nail there. Disliked certain things he did. I need another parentheses here. It was the Alien Sedition Act. They didn't like, weren't a fan of it. Voting was no. All right, what was I gonna say? Oh, I know. VP. Oh, it's changed markers. It's fine. VP was just dude or dudette with second most votes. Everyone got 2 votes. How should I draw this? Who's a classic VP? Who's like the classic? I was gonna say Joe Biden, but he's president now. Who do you think of when you think VP? Who's a premier VP? Al Gore. Thank you. How do you draw Al Gore? Let me get an Al Gore in here. I know what he looks like. I just need some facial feature to latch on to. Nope. Don't think I can draw that. We'll give her a shot. I could draw man, bear, pig. Fairly rectangular. Oh, oops. Okay. Okay. Go over here. Go over here. All right. Rectangular ass face. Boop. Boop, boop, boop. I'm not drawing Dick Cheney. He was basically the president, idiot. All right. We're going to draw ears. Everybody knows Al Gore had ears. That's a well-defined Al Gore trait. And he had lips. Slight little smile. He had a nose. Nose is a little high. Wait, a lower. Okay. Okay. Kind of beady, little beady eyes. These eyes are kind of beady. Look at these. All right. This is hairline. No, that sucked. Redo. Redo. Sucked. All right, this is his hairline. All right, that's clearly Al Gore. No one can argue. That's clearly Al Gore. No one would. Unmistakable. I'll draw a little arrow there just in case anybody's not sure. Al Gore. All right. Next up. All right. After that, VP, just dude with second most votes. Oh. All right. What do they call the fucking party? Like, I don't want to type Democratic. Is it just Republicans? Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson. Oh, I know how to check. Let me go here. No.
Was that whoever
No, they call them Dem Repubs. I'm just gonna call them some idiot Dem Repub brick up the plan. Bricked up the plan and voted and gave what should I say this? And gave TJ and Burr's Aaron Burr, it's not Burr. Right? Maybe I'm misremembering. Aaron Burr tied votes. For this, I will draw. Well, how do you draw Ka? Why am I not thinking? How can I not think of that character? Hold on. Hold on. This is an emergency. I'm having a brain fart. Okay. That's baka in Japanese, so get fucked. I knew that off of my memory. I didn't forget it for a second. All right. what happened next? Oh. Federalist. It was the House? Yeah, it's the House. House Reps. Federalist House was tiebreaker. It's a good tiebreaker. What should I do to draw a tiebreaker? We'll just try OT. OT. Feds didn't really like TJ. Need more paper. More paper, please. More paper, please. That's it. I need more. I need a lot of this stuff. Let's just do 20. Let's just make it a square paper. Okay. All right. Feds didn't really like TJ. Why do I draw? I have to fix. Okay, whatever. All right. Feds didn't really like TJ. Kept, not all of them. Some voted for Burr out of spite. Hamilton said Burr is sus. And then, whoop, did you get bad? And then, piece de la resistance. Womp, 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 womp. There it is. We got the whole thing. Oh, wait. Hold on. That tipped it in TJ's favor. And then final picture. Draw him with a little. We'll draw him with a little. Round. Okay, we're gonna get a little bit more detail on this guy. He deserves it. Our king. Get some jewels in there. Slay, king. All right. I think we got it. And I think we're ready to get pink in here and see what score we got. Let me title it. I will put all the new space up here. Okay. Revolution. That sounds way more cool. Of 1800. Exclamation point. All right. Let me see. Get him in here. We'll do some review. I was going to call him. Keep him the old call. Hello?
Hello.
All right. I'm ready to review here. I'll share my screen with you so you don't have to watch the stream. But I have worked up a document to review.
Alrighty.
They'll probably blow you away. All right, tell me when you're ready.
Well, these drawings are something else, I have to say.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to present all the information. Then we'll go over any fun anecdotes that you have, any changes, anything that's wrong. Probably nothing. All that stuff.
It's perfect. I mean, I don't think I need to change anything, to be honest.
The Revolution of 1800. That's a more fun.
Nice.
That's I heard that a couple places.
Said by Thomas Jefferson many years later.
Yeah. So Adams was the president. He had beaten good old Washington. Not beaten. Washington retired. The people kind of picked Adams. Not important. Well, it is a little important. But then people, the Democratic Republicans, disliked a lot of the things Adams did, like the Alien and Sedation Act. They said that was cringe. They're like, we don't like that.
The Sedation Act or the Sedition Act?
I don't know.
You got to sedate a lot of people. You got to put a lot of people to sleep.
Fuck. Yeah, they're sedating the aliens. So it's
the Alien Sedation Act.
Fuck you, fuck.
The
Alien and Sedition Act. So they hid them.
We can't afford to deport them. We got to put them to sleep.
I need to.
Anyway.
Shut off my AC, which is very loud. I don't think doesn't look like it's getting picked up. Whatever. All right. So people, the Democratic Republicans, dislike certain things he did. It's my thumbs down that I drew. The vice president, up to this point, was just the dude with the second most votes, but everybody got 2 votes. So that's how they did it. And then I drew Al Gore because he's a famous VP, famous vice president.
Okay. Kind of looks like a little bit like Obama. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, Obama wasn't vice president.
Some
so...
Obama vibes.
So it can't be Obama. He wasn't vice president. So sorry to inform you. But then, so what they had planned on doing was they're like, well, some dude will just vote for, what was his name? Who the shitty guy? No, he got 1 vote. There's some dude like well, actually, I think the Democratic Republicans' plan was just not put anything. And then some idiot with the Democratic...
Pretty sure John Jay on the Federalist side.
Yeah. Some idiot Democrat Republican fricked up the plan and gave TJ and Burr votes. So now they were tied. And then I drew Baka in Japanese. I wrote Baka in Japanese. It means idiot.
It's a little unnecessary, but okay. Let's keep going.
Well, he fucked it up. If he would have just not voted for Burr, we wouldn't be in this situation. So since they were tied because he couldn't follow the plan, the Federalist House was the majority Federalist House was the tiebreaker, and I said OT for overtime. But the Feds didn't really like Thomas Jefferson. They're like, that guy sucks. We hate him. And that's Thomas Jefferson looks sad, and he has like the little thing done over him. So then they just kept making it go for longer and longer, and a lot of them didn't want to vote for TJ because, spite, and they didn't like him. But then Hamilton came in and he said Burr is actually sus, and I drew a monkeys.
Used a modern lingo. Nice.
Modern lingo. They said Burr sus.
Getting the Zoomer crowd.
Yeah, we're getting the Zoomers into history. They're gonna they'll see Among Us and they'll be like, "Ooh, history," and they'll see Among Us, and then I'll trick them into learning history because Among Us will come at the end.
History through Among Us. What is that?
History.
That's the title.
History through Among Us. And I just set up like an Among Us lobby, like teach history through Among Us.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god! Like it goes to like the debate, whatever. Like the
Yeah, each
other.
person's a different. Each person like plays a different character, and you have to
Yeah.
like. Yeah.
Oh my god, that'd be
This,
so.
this is amazing. This is
That'd be
amazing.
so funny. All right, and then that tipped it in TJ's favor, and then it's Thomas Jefferson. He's wearing his king crown because now he's the king of America. He's
Correct.
the third king of
Or
America.
the third king. Yeah.
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 So that's what
So
we
I
got.
gotta say, yeah, like a lot of these, I gotta say, a lot of the time I feel like spent on this was like doing the drawings.
No,
Is
probably
kind of what it looks like.
probably not. Probably I'm just banging these out 'cause I'm really artistic.
Can I say that like all those videos were terrible that you were looking at?
A lot of them
Except for
just,
Mr. Beat. Except for Mr. Beat. His is supposed to be concise on purpose.
yeah,
over
a
Mr.
lot of
Beat.
them just skimmed over the whole part with Burr and TJ tying a bunch. They're just like,
Yeah.
and then they tied a bunch, and then they didn't tie, and then TJ went.
Actually, the last video we watched was actually he did some.
Yeah, he talked about it.
some
He
good-
was
some good
he
stuff.
was super slow talking though. I had to put it in 1.25, but it
Yeah.
still sounded like slow. That's history, people.
Yeah.
Though.
All right, that was pretty good.
All right.
It's like all these videos and the information you got was like it's like okay, it's what happened. But I feel like that's what most boring ass history teachers do these days. They just like it's like here's what happened. It's like no, you got to tell them, okay, why this is exciting, why this is interesting,
That's
and like
true.
why it matters today. Because that's the only reason we study
Yeah,
history is to
why
like figure
does
out why
this
it
matter
matters today.
today?
Everyone thinks that like the founding fathers, they were the originators of our country, and they're like all the ideals came from them basically, in England and Rome. But they're very important because they had the original idea, So that was pretty good.
Well, why? What of this is important? What relevance does this have today? What effects can be seen in the modern landscape? Politics.
Well, let's see. I would like to run through the whole thing
Okay.
very quickly,
Okay.
but in my own words,
Yeah.
so that like, okay, because all these videos were like, oh, and like some of them were kind of wrong too. I was like, I was watching them, I was like, that's not quite right. Okay, so for some context for people who don't know about American history and the founding fathers. So the founding fathers, okay, they all hated each other. They all did not like each other very much, and they would write essays and essays and essays that were published anonymously through the papers constantly throughout their whole lives.
Oh, okay.
They hated each other, except for there were two teams. You have Alexander Hamilton and Washington. They liked each other. They were a huge team. The other
Oh.
team was James Madison and Thomas Jefferson. They were the Jeffersonian Republican team. They were both the leaders of their parties. Adams was a Federalist, but hated Washington, Hamilton, and vice versa.
Okay.
So they also didn't like each other, even though they're on the same team. The two parties formed, the Federalists and the Republicans, formed out of Hamilton's programs. So all of the controversy that happened in the early American Republic was around Hamilton's financial programs as Treasury Secretary. He created the first bank, which created like taking bonds from the government and stocks and stuff.
Right.
And he made it so that the federal government would take over the debt from the revolution from all the states. So all the states didn't have to pay their own debts. Now the federal government had to assume that debt, so it locked everyone together. So basically, Hamilton's the reason why the America's together until the Civil War, obviously.
Okay.
But that's some context behind. Then leading up to this election, you got the Alien Sedition Act. So
Sedation.
basically, yeah, Sedition Act. So that the newspapers, if they talk shit about the government, put them in jail. And that's exactly what John Adams did.
Oh.
And also Jefferson hated this, but also utilized it and threw a bunch of his opponents in jail after he became president.
Oh.
And then he revoked it, but he like utilized it before he revoked it. And then there was like it's called the Quasi War with France. So basically, Britain and America kind of redid their treaty from the Revolution, and France and Britain were at war. and then France was like cutting a billion heads off, and they were led by this one dude, and basically they hated our treaty, and they demanded that they like took a bunch of our ships, and then they demanded that like we pay them for that, and so that there was almost a big war anyway.
Oh.
So that's kind of the context. So before the elections of 1800, you got Burr and Hamilton fighting for the election, the state New York City delegation elections. So, well, not New York City, New York, but New York City was like the only city in New York at the time besides Albany. So you got Burr, who's this sleazy, like womanizer.
Let's
He
go.
had one daughter. He had one daughter, and after his wife died, he had all these affairs, and that was the only thing he'd write to his daughter about was having these affairs with these women. It's the fucking weirdest thing ever. It's so creepy. Anyway, she died at like age 29 at sea. Don't worry about that though. His daughter, yeah, sadly. Anyway, then you have Hamilton, who's a prominent Federalist figure. After he died, the entire nation was depressed for like 2 months, basically. So he was like well liked, but Hamilton also had an affair, and then wrote a whole like pamphlet exposing his own affair. It was really weird. So anyway, through the New York delegation races, it's modern campaigning is kind of invented. So before this, the way you ran for president or for any race was basically like, oh, I'm this guy. You kind of already know who I am. You kind of already know my policies, and you're probably going to vote for me if you like me, or you know what I'm saying? It was very just like, vote for me or don't vote for me. Fuck you.
Yeah.
So, but with this one, the New York delegation was owned by Federalists because they're all merchants, they're all money people, they're all bankers, and so New York was like the Federalist stronghold. But Burr saw a chance here to get the Republicans to take over New York, and therefore all of New York's votes would go for the Republicans in the next election, and then the Republicans would win. Because the only reason Jefferson lost the previous election was because of New York, basically.
Okay.
And if he would have won New York, he would have won. So through this, Burr invents modern campaigning by getting lists of voters and like their political affiliation and their finances, and then he goes door to door asking for funds. He organizes people to like transport people to the polls.
Whoa.
He finds loopholes because at that time people who owned a certain amount of land could vote if you're a man and white, and they found a loophole where people could like pool their land together and then vote as like one person.
Oh, what?
Yeah, it was weird. Or it was either that, or they could all pool their land together and like they all owned this amount of land.
Oh,
they could
right.
I see. One or the other, I can't remember. But and then so throughout this time, Hamilton and Burr are running around New York City, giving these giant speeches on the street, not sleeping. At this person who there was a quote from this dude who was in New York City at the time. He was like, if you walked outside during the day during this time, you would find one of them yelling on the street at people, trying to get people to vote for them. So anyway, Burr is successful. The Republicans sweep the New York delegation, which basically means that New York is going to sway the Republicans in the next election, right?
Right.
And because Burr did this for the Republicans, he just swept the podium. Or swept the podium. It's not the Olympics. Fucking swept the delegation. The Republicans were like, "Oh, he's a pretty cool dude. You know, he did this for us. Let's give him the vice president ticket. Let's get him on there with Thomas Jefferson. You know."
Yeah.
And Burr knew that. That's why he tried so hard to do that. So meanwhile, okay, Adams, right after this happens, Adams has this revelation that Hamilton had been controlling his cabinet the entire time and basically running the government. And that actually was happening. Hamilton was sending letters to Adams's entire cabinet and telling them how to run the government.
Oh.
Because nobody knew what the fuck to do at that time because nobody had run a government before. And Hamilton's the only one who knew how to run the government.
Oh.
So Adams figures this out. He fires his entire cabinet. Okay. At this point, Adams is he's emotional. He's like bitter. He's angry. He's like, his teeth are falling out. He's graying. It's rough. Yeah. He's got like sick. He's really sick all the time. as well. So he fires his cabinet, writes a letter about how Hamilton's been controlling his government, how much he hates Hamilton. Hamilton has a history of just destroying people with words,
Okay.
just
Just
rebutting them with
a real Ben Shapiro
just
type.
for sure. Oh yeah, for sure. Except combine Ben Shapiro with like I don't know who actually has like substance in their speech, like
Yeah,
who actually
Ben
like says what they're
Shapiro.
thinking.
Have you ever listened
Okay.
to him speak? Come on.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Just imagine Ben Shapiro, but the most intellectually sound, well-rounded writer.
Oh, like Steven
So
Crowder.
he actually has substance. So it's not
I
just
see.
yeah,
I see.
yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. So combine Alex. So combine Alex Jones,
yeah.
Steven Crowder. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as I think you saw in the video, Hamilton writes this 60-something page
Yeah.
pamphlet on how
Yeah.
much he hates John Adams,
Yeah.
and which was like people didn't like that. So so some people trusted him because they didn't. So that was kind of political suicide for Hamilton. It's that kind of in a way,
Right.
but it did hurt Adams a lot.
Okay.
So the election, okay, you've got Hamilton who's like berated Adams, and he wants John C. Pinckney to become president, and that is Adams's running mate.
Right.
So Hamilton is trying to get people to withhold votes from Adams to vote for Pinckney, who is just this Southern Revolutionary War general veteran guy who continues to lose the next election in 1804 as well. He was the
okay.
main Federalist candidate in 1804. And then you've got Hamilton who writes a whole bunch of things on how bad writes a whole bunch of pamphlets on how much he hates Jefferson, but it doesn't matter because New York City and New York are Republican now, so they vote for
right.
they vote for Jefferson. So 2 months goes by, they got to do all the voting because it takes a while by horse and pony to to deliver the votes. Yeah. So they all knew it was going to happen in mid-December. They're like, okay, it's going to be a tie between Burr and Jefferson because Jefferson actually wanted it to be a tie because he didn't want like weird hurt feelings with Burr.
Oh.
Yeah, it was really strange because he didn't want there to be like this weird. I don't know. Jefferson was really weird because how he acted on the outside was nothing on how he acted on the inside. He was, and he when he came back from France, he lived in France for a while. He was like this extravagant man in France. He comes back to America. He dresses in like normal clothes. He's like the common man, even though he owns like hundreds of slaves.
Yeah.
And I don't know, he's kind of a fraud.
Calling
So it's
our man a fraud. That's fucked up, but
TJ is kind of weird and gross, but kind of cool at the same time. I don't know. He's really racist. all these guys are pretty fucking racist, except for Hamilton. I mean, there was this recent article that was like, oh, Hamilton might have owned a slave, but I mean, it's a very stark contrast to owning 200 slaves outright and then having sex with one of them. Anyway.
Yeah. Classic
All right.
TJ.
So we got a tie. 73 to 73. Yep. Right? Goes to the House. So let's give some context for Washington at this point. So Washington, the capital of the U.S., had just moved from Philadelphia.
Yep. To the swamp of Washington,
the previous
D.C.
year. Exactly. There's like nothing.
Yeah.
There's turkeys running around. Parts of the Capitol don't even have a roof. There's slaves just like hauling rocks, and there's just piles of dirt, and it's like a big construction zone.
Right.
And it's swampy, it's hot. And so the first session of the House to vote on this, okay, it goes on for 20 hours straight.
Yeesh.
They convene from the previous day. They convene the next day at 9 a.m. from the first one. People were sleeping on the floor. This marathon went on for another 5 days straight, all day, every day.
Oh, dang.
They went through 35 separate ballots, and it was 8-6 for all these ballots. You need 9 to win. There were 16 total votes. It was 8-6 every single time because the other 2 states were tying. So
Right.
at this point, the state's vote is 1. So one state gets 1 vote.
Right.
So it goes for 5 days. People who were sick had to be like trucked in to vote every couple hours, and then they had to go back to where they were staying at because they were sick. And it's just, people are just like so sick of it. Meanwhile, my boy Hamilton has been bombarding this man from Delaware. His name is James A. Bayard.
Okay.
He is a representative from Delaware, and he's a Federalist. And the Federalists keep voting for Burr because Jefferson was the antithesis to federalism, right? Burr could be like molded into what they want, you know?
Right. Right.
But contrary to the rest of the Federalists, Hamilton, he knows Burr. He has been
Oh,
a lawyer.
right.
He's been a lawyer with him side by side for the previous 10 years. So, and
Okay.
he has worked with him. They are both 2 prominent New York City figures. They know each other very well.
Right.
When they were lawyers together, they'd work on the same case, and they'd be like, they do really petty shit stuff, like, you know, if you're giving when you're giving your defense, you have 2 different lawyers. Usually, the more prominent one gets the last say because
Right.
they're more experienced, right?
Right.
And so Hamilton would always like want that, but then Burr would like say everything he's gonna say before that.
Like
So
it's
it was
like in like
kind
a
of petty.
TV, it's like in a TV drama, like or like some like show where someone has like something they're gonna say and one of the other characters hears it and like it cuts to that, like they say it first, like for like a wedding speech or something, and then like
Yeah,
they're like,
yeah,
oh, what do I say now? And then
yeah. So then Hamilton will like get up afterwards and he'd be like, okay, I guess
yeah,
I'll say my couple things, and you already said I was gonna say, so to be
yeah,
redundant. So these guys were extraordinary, amazing, intelligent, but super petty and like super immature.
right,
So where were we? Hamilton's sending letters to the Federalists to change his vote to Jefferson instead of Burr. So finally, this guy named James A. Bayard, he meets with these 2 Jeffersonians, other Republican representatives, in a separate room and lays some conditions. He goes, "Okay, if I vote for Jefferson, then you must preserve like all these Hamilton financial institutions that he set up. You can't take them away. You got to maintain the Navy that Hamilton set up, and you can't just fire all the Federalists who are in the federal government but not at the cabinet level. So like you can do whatever you want in the cabinet, but you can't just fire people because they're Federalists. That's garbage."
yeah,
So then Jefferson, till the day he died, never says that he did some weird, electioneering by talking and making like a deal.
okay.
He to this day like denies that.
Well, he's been dead
Because
for
but
most of these days, so like probably just till the
okay,
day
I
he
meant
died.
yeah, yeah. We're still in the early 19th century, so he's still alive.
Okay,
by the way.
okay. To this very day, he
Yeah.
maintains.
To the
You-
day he died. That's what
You
I
could
meant.
go over to his house and ask him, and he would still
Yeah.
stand by this.
Go over to his grave and shout his fucking grave.
Yeah.
But basically, like Jefferson meets with these 2 other Jeffersonians, and basically they tell him the deal, and he goes, "Okay, let's do it." But he maintains that like that he maintained to his death that like that conversation was just like, "Oh, we were just talking about the weather."
Yeah, just
And,
having an important conversation about the weather.
Yeah. So then, he changes his vote to no vote, which means that Delaware votes for Jefferson, and then he becomes president. And I love historical trends that you can find in today's trends. I like your circles.
Yeah.
And I made a whole video about historical trends in the 2016 election. Literally 5 years ago now. And so I really think that this election was super similar to our most recent election.
Yeah.
So Adams is like Trump. He's the incumbent. Jefferson is Joe
Yeah.
Biden.
Yeah, because Adams did
Adams
the
is
thing
kind
where
of
like,
this like
yeah, Adams didn't even like he like wasn't there when they transferred power too.
exactly
He was too cool for that.
Yep. So he was like kind of racist. He called he called fucking Hamilton like Creole bastard and like all this
Yeah.
shit. And Adams attempted to control the press. He took
Yeah.
away some First Amendment rights. He was extremely insecure and was super like prone to angering. And then Jefferson, who's Biden, he seemed extremely radical to the Federalists, but he turned out to be like pretty moderate. He
Right.
kind of governed very similar to Federalists, and he made some like pretty decent changes. And then Adams didn't. He left in there. He left in the morning before the inauguration. Didn't attend. Um, and you know, the greatest thing around this whole thing is that these videos actually got right. It was the first transition of power between two different groups in a real modern democracy,
Yeah.
and that kind of shocked the world.
Yeah.
The first shock was Washington giving up his power. That was the real.
Yeah.
The real
I've heard about like other countries reacting to Washington giving up his power and stuff like that.
Yeah. But this is two different. These are two separate political parties because Adams and Washington were the same party.
Yeah. They were opposed.
So then,
so wait. So you
so
saying
that's
that?
it.
Are you saying like in a couple hundred years we're gonna get a Trump television series, a Donald Trump television HBO series?
Yeah,
like
I mean,
John Adams one.
For sure. I'm excited. Who's gonna play him? I don't think anybody would want to play him.
Yeah. Well, I
Or
mean,
everyone would want to play
in
him.
like 200 years maybe. The scene when I was a kid, my dad watched the John Adams series, and there's a scene where they tar and feather some dude, and that messed me up. That scene's burned into my memory.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, I was like, oh, they're just, oh, okay. All right, well, that was.
Yeah, I need to read the John Adams book because like after I finished the Alexander Hamilton book, they paint him in a really negative light.
Oh, really?
And I know he's because he's at the end of his age, he's like kind of bitter and old, and I don't know. By the way, just for a quick side note, do you know what happens to Burr after all of this?
Yeah, what happens to Burr?
So obviously we all know, Burr, he kills Hamilton in a duel. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, it's that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. So after while he's still vice president, mind you. And
the duel was
dueling is illegal.
The duel was while he was vice president?
While he was vice president.
I didn't know
Jefferson.
that. I didn't know that.
And so after he kills Hamilton illegally while he's vice president, he like flees to this island off the coast of South Carolina for like a couple months, and then he returns to Washington as if nothing had happened, and everyone's like, this dude straight up just murdered a guy, one of our most prominent founding fathers, and then just showed up as if nothing happened and just ruled over the Senate as vice president. Everyone's just like, what the fuck is going on? Who is this guy? And then he then tried to, this is called the Burr conspiracy. This could be another video, but he basically, Burr wanted to be the dictator of Mexico. He wanted to rule Mexico.
All right.
As a dictatorship.
Big ambitions.
So basically he gets this whole thing where there's like supposedly anywhere from like 20 to like a few thousand people involved in this whole thing, but basically he wanted to go down to like the Louisiana territory that we had not bought yet. Well, I guess we didn't at that point. We had bought it.
Yeah.
But there was some territory that was owned by the Spanish, and he wanted to like kind of start conflict between America and the Spanish, and then he wanted to like slide in and then take that territory and then rule it himself.
What the fuck?
So like after there's all this fighting, it's like not after it's not contested anymore, it's like independent. He wanted to like rule in it and rule it himself. And he was on the run for a few months. Then he was arrested, brought to Washington, and tried by Jefferson, his previous vice president, or his previous. Dang. Yeah, and he was acquitted, and then he went to London, came back, and then had a terrible, sad life for the next 25 years.
So if this is all lined up with the current election, Kamala Harris has an interesting.
Yes, she has a crazy arc. She has a crazy arc.
She has an interesting time ahead of her.
Yeah. So there you go. I hope I didn't flood it too much.
No, that's great. There's a lot of. Yeah, they definitely didn't have much enthusiasm in any of the videos I found, or like they didn't hit any of they never went for any unnecessary but interesting facets of it. I would say, like they just streamlined it, and like I mean, they didn't. I mean, some of them streamlined it, but also told stupid jokes. So it's like, why, like, either streamline it or don't. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, you don't have to, like, if you're gonna like be sitting here telling me the most basic version of the story, like, you don't also make jokes.
Yeah, yeah. Just make it concise.
Yeah, make it concise or like have fun, but don't do a weird combination. Is what they were doing.
The biggest giveaway I can take from this is like the founding fathers were just dudes.
Yeah, they're just
Just
dudes
like you
being
and me.
guys, being bros.
Just dudes. Dudes being bros.
Yeah,
They're just like you and me.
you know,
They're not
sometimes
fucking angels.
they wrote mean things about each other, and sometimes
Yeah.
they shot each other.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Sometimes they try to be the dictator of Mexico. I mean,
That's crazy. He just had a whole conspiracy to become a dictator. I mean,
yeah.
damn, he really was sus.
I mean,
That's my
Burr might be the
that's
most sus American of all time.
that's my thumbnail. By the way, I decided it's gonna be this picture that I drew.
Oh, okay.
It's gonna be. I don't know if I'm gonna
Didn't even use the fill tool. I see.
It's gonna be like Burr is sus, and then I don't. Yeah, maybe it'll just be the Among Us, and then the picture of Burr, and then it'll be this, and then the title will be Twitch, something American, Twitch American. I don't know, something clickbaity, because that's the way you do it. That was cool. Glad I did it. Got a bunch of cool info. Learned a bunch. The revolution
Nice.
of 1800. Appreciate your factoids, your clarifications. Those were sick. Fun giving me the topic. That was sick. It was a good topic. A lot of cool things about it. Yeah, I didn't know that there was so much to the third election. I knew it wasn't like a straightforward election. I just didn't know that there was. I just knew Adams lost, even though he was the incumbent, and like Jefferson won.
I personally think we should have kept the system where the second place guy gets to be vice president. I mean, if Hillary Clinton was vice president under Donald Trump, that would have been the funniest thing I've
That would have been wild.
That would have been amazing. I would have loved that so much.
Insane. Damn, we really missed out.
I know.
Why couldn't I like how they ran into problems with it on literally the third election. So
The funniest thing was like it was like nobody thought that this was gonna happen. It was
Yeah.
like, what do you mean your whole system is relying on people like not voting for somebody? It's just like Hamilton had to write letters to people in the first two elections not to vote for John Adams, specifically so that Washington would become president.
Yeah, that's insane. Well, I appreciate all the stuff. Thanks for helping me out.
No problem.
I'll talk to you probably later today. How was
probably.
You doing good on you feeling good with the vaccine?
Yeah. Yesterday, I got my vaccine on Thursday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then I had every known symptom.
Nice. Get them, collecting them.
Had 100-degree fever. I had crazy fever dreams. Didn't sleep.
Oh, yikes! I was there a little bit.
Threw up twice in the morning. Had a terrible headache. Was nauseated for hours. Had heartburn.
Oh,
And heart.
I haven't heard of heartburn.
Yeah, Emerson had it too. He had to go to the ER because he thought
Really?
he was having
I didn't-
problems.
oh,
Yeah.
dang.
We had the same problems. We had the same exact symptoms.
Oh, wow.
And then I took some Advil and then ate a Coke and then I was fine in like 2 hours. It was literally back to normal in a couple hours.
That's what I heard. Well, glad you're okay. I will
Thanks.
talk to you later. Thanks for hanging out. I'm gonna make myself actually
Adios.
edit this into a video, so I'll see you there.
Adios.
See ya. All right, boys. Thanks for tuning into the stream. Thanks for interacting a bit. Not a ton of interaction, but that's fine. It's mostly just for the YouTube, because that's the plan. But thanks for hanging out. If you were, even if you didn't say anything, thanks for chilling. Hope we all learned a bit. Adios. I wasn't recording. Fuck. I'll just have to use the VOD. It's fine.